Today, I would like to explain the contents of the round 4. The title of today's lecture is Various Methods of the Mind Discipline and Concerning 삼명육통 as well as 정심정각. In this round, I will explain the principle of Dhan, and I am going to explain the effect of Dhan on our body. Now, I think that it is necessary to understand the concept of Dhan. I think it is good to write what Mr. Hong Tae-soo wrote in his books. The literal meaning of Dhan is red, but it does not mean the simple color of red, but it means a life with a red energy. When we see the red leaves in autumn, we call it to be crimson tinted. And here, the crimson or red color, Dhan of Chinese letter, means not only the physical color, but the meaning of the symbol of life. In other words, we can draw the shape of maple trees, but it is impossible to draw the real shape of Dhan as the meaning of life. In this sense, Dhan is already in the world of metaphysics. Life is the red element which cannot be seen with our eyes. Usually, we can see any living creatures with our eyes, but we cannot see life itself. But when we see the living creatures, we can feel the life of the universe. Dhan should be conceived in this way. Some persons try to relate the red meaning of Dhan with the hot blood in our body. However, even though blood has red color, it is the only material element of the living creature. The true entity of Dhan is the basic bio-life energy, which transcends the physical element. These sentences are in the book of Hong Tae-soo's Dhan의 실상, The Real Face of Dhan, published by 동서문화사, page 28, Dhan의 실상. This is the book Dhan의 실상. I understood and followed the Dhan theory of Mr. Hong Tae-soo with the help of his books Dhan의 완성. This is the book Dhan의 완성. And Dhan의 완성 means the completion of Dhan. I mean, Dhan의 실상, the real face of Dhan. And Dhan의 비고, the high state of Dhan, Dhan의 비고. And 신단, Dhan of God, 신단, Dhan of God. And 신공, the discipline of God, the discipline of God. The characteristic of Hong Tae-soo's theory is the easy explanation concerning the real face of Dhan, the discipline method, and the result of exercise, and therefore, anyone who reads his book can understand the world of Dhan with ease. The following mind disciplining method is based upon the theory of Dhan. First of all, one sits down on a floor with 책상다리, or 방가부자, or 양반자세, with his hands on his laps, and also with his eyes closed. In this case, one thinks that the cosmic energy comes down from 백회. 백회 means crown chakra here. It is on a concave part of one's head, and it is known that the cosmic energy comes down through this crown chakra. And this cosmic energy comes down through his spine. Again, this cosmic energy turns around the part of perineum, 회음 in Korean, perineum, and goes up through 하단전, low 단전, 하단전, 중단전, middle 단전, and 상단전, high 단전. and at last it meets the new energy in the part of crown chakra, and again the new mixed energy comes down through the spine again. When we practice this sort of dhan, the cosmic energy comes down into our body really, and we can feel that our spine gets a little warm. However, there is one point which we have to bear in mind, that is, the contents of the incantation should be good. For in accordance with the quality of the incantation, the quality of ghee or cosmic energy varies. The incantation I use every day is the incantation of 원불교, which is generally used in the religious group, in this religious group. That is, 천지연기 아심정, 만사의 아심통, 천지의 동심체, 천지의 동심정. If I translate into English, it is as following. The holy energy makes my mind pacific, and all of the things are connected with my mind as I wish. Just as the universe is the same as I, so I am the same as the universe, and the universe and I become tranquil together. When Shindan practice comes to an end, the practice of Shikdan begins. We think that the cosmic energy comes into our body through the crown chakra continuously when we practice not only this Shikdan, but the mind control method, which we will see about later. The key point of Shikdan is to file the bioenergy in Hadanjan, low danjan. It is situated 4 or 5 centimeters below the navel, and it is said that there are 9 steps in this practice. Here we practice only one general danjan aspiration. In this case, we inhale the air fully and make the energy go down to the hadanjan, low danjan, and stop for more than 1 minute, and then let the air, not the energy, let the air go out of the body. Mr. Hongtaesu says that the air should stay in our body more than 1 minute, but there can be a little difference for each person. Here, when the cosmic energy is filed in our body, after dhan practice, the question we can have is what the feeling of the cosmic energy is. The following sentences are some of the abbreviated ones which the dhan practitioners in Gukseon-do, which is one of the representative dhan practice group in Korea, say to us. The following sentences are in the book of Daecheoak, written by Im Duk-cheon of Korea. This is the book Daecheoak. The articles are on the page of 58 to 62. Here, Daecheoak means the healing methods which can substitute a new method for the conventional methods. First, it is the feeling of heat and coldness. In other words, when we practice dhan, we concentrate our mind on nothing or something, and at this time some of the parts of our body, like palm, get heated. Some persons can feel hot for the first time, and other person can feel cold for the first time, but ultimately they turn into the feeling of heat. Second, we can feel the electronic stimulus. In other words, we can feel some of the electronic stimulating sense and somewhat stinging response in practicing this method. When a person practices danjan inhaling and exhaling, about 50 trillion of cells of our body get relaxed, and they become a sort of fixed condenser, and therefore, when they are fully charged, some electronic energy is formed in our body. Third, there is the feeling of magnetic touching. What is the feeling of the magnetic touching? It is a sort of phenomenon in which a practitioner lets two palms get together naturally, or let two palms split it, not with will, but with other electronic power. We can explain this phenomenon with the knowledge of the two poles of electronics of plus and minus in both hands. Fourth, we can feel the wave of ki, namely the wave of the cosmic energy. When a person practices breathing, his brain wave becomes alpha wave, just like the wave of the earth, and this alpha wave has the resonance with the brain wave of the earth, and so our hands or body moves unconsciously. Just before, I uttered the brain wave of the earth. As the earth is a sort of a living creature, it has its own wave, and this wave is called the resonant wave or the brain wave of the earth. In Buddhism, there exists the non-dance. It is the summu in Korean, non-dance, and it is said that this dance movement was originated from the unconscious spiritual activity. Fifth, the Dan practitioner can feel his body somewhat heavy, or he feels heavy with the feeling of the earth's gravitation. In other words, when a practitioner performs this Dan practice for the first time, he can experience a strange phenomenon in which he feels heavy or light. This phenomenon can be explained with the function of ki, which can mold some gravity or upward force. Then what is the effect of this Dan practice after we practice inhaling and exhaling of Dan? Let's listen to what the Dan expert Mr. Im explains in his book 대체와 곡선도, this book, on the page 122 to 25. There are 9 pieces of effects in Dan practice. First, we can do any task or work efficiently. And second, it diffuses some of the stress. And third, it prevents one from getting old, and it bans one to be infected with some of the disease which is apt to be common to adults, and sometimes it cures such disease. And fourth, it helps one to enhance one's creativity and concentration. And of course, it helps one to advance in study greatly. Fifth, it increases the power of natural treatment, and as a result, it enlarges the prevention power naturally. And sixth, it keeps one to be healthy day in and day out. And seventh, it keeps one feel good and comfortable, and usually it makes one feel thankful. And eighth, it helps one to recover one's energy quickly when he is fatigued. And ninth, it is very difficult for preventing, ninth, it's very efficient for preventing some of the heart and blood vessel disease. For it lowers the number of heart breathing and blood vessel pressure.